YouTube, thanks for tuning back into another video. We're back here in the garage. The last video that I actually uploaded, we were over at the track at Orlando Speed World for the No Prep event. Now, typically when I go to those events or do other things, I'm more of a vlogging type interaction on my YouTube channels or on my YouTube videos. The last video that I made was more of like media coverage, burnouts, races, and then coverage of the event. So let me know what you think about that type of format. It was something a little bit new to the challenge, or to the channel, excuse me. So please let me know what you think about that. That being said, we do have two boxes that we're opening up. Now, I opened the top of them. I haven't unboxed it yet. I wanted to do that on camera. So that being said, we have this one right here from out west, and also this one from here on the East Coast. Two really great companies that we're working with, and yeah, got some nice goodies in the mail, all for La Fea, and we're gonna show you how we get these in the box, and most of it we can install today, although there are two components in it that I can't today just because I'm waiting on some other parts. That being said, let's start the video with the unboxing. Thanks for tuning. If you aren't already subscribed to the channel, make sure to hit the subscribe button with notifications as well, so you're up to date with all of our releases, discount codes, how-to videos, and event coverages. And yeah, if you're gonna enjoy this video or you already have enjoyed videos in the past, please hit that like button because it really helps out the channel. Please, please. We're gonna go ahead and open this up. Now, you guys have seen us use a bunch of Burton Racing components in the past. Boost bike gear kits, fuel pump relays, the max solenoid, the boost bike gear. So many different parts have gone into all our cars because they make such great in-house stuff. Now, this next portion is something that they're rolling out later this week. And they're becoming distributors right now for two great brands, as well as others to come in the future. First one being right here is Gates. And if you're familiar with Gates, they do a lot of timing belts, other components like OEM stuff. I believe Gates actually makes the OEM timing belts for Honda, but a little bit of a step up from that OEM stuff. We have the race version, the Gates blue timing belt. And if you're already in the Honda game or you're into the drag racing community, you know that this is the go-to belt for drag racing. It's a lot stronger. It's still the same tooth count depending on which one you order. He has for all different types of motors. Later this week, you're gonna be able to see this on his website, so you'll be able to buy exactly what you need. But over here, you see that it's the blue one. This one holds up a lot better than the OEM one. It's a lot stronger, and obviously the blue just looks awesome. It's an iconic piece. Along with this, you'll get obviously the sticker for Gates. You'll get some of the business cards for Burton Racing. Just a quick reminder, he is a Honda dealer. AEM, it's got a whole bunch of stuff in stock, always ready to ship, ships next day. Burton Racing sticker, we're gonna find a nice place to put that. And of course, for the next couple people that order using the SB Tuning discount code, you're gonna get the signed postcard like we mentioned on Instagram a couple weeks ago. We still have a few of these left, so make sure to place your orders with the code so you can get that and some extra goodies as well. And our nice Burton Racing sticker. The next distributor that he went over to become is the well-known Felpro. Now this is just a regular valve cover gasket we're going to be using onto our Integra. Some people like OEM, some people like the Felpro. I personally don't mind the Felpro because it's always in stock, and especially since Burton Racing now carries all these products, just do one large order and get everything out of the way. This comes with the new grommets as well as the spark tube seals, and this is my favorite part out of the package today. Looks like an OEM style regular oil pan gasket, but it comes with these little stud type things that have a little snap in the center. I'm gonna show you how to install this later on the car today. But the difference between this and every other oil pan gasket, look at this. I'm holding it straight up and it's not bending. Why is that? Because you have the regular rubber material on top and on bottom, but in the center you have a solid piece of metal. What's this gonna do? It's gonna prevent it from squishing out like all the old oil pan gaskets do. And let me tell you, we've used this on almost every single car that we've built in the last about 2-3 years. And it is so much better. You never have a leak with them. It holds into place, and you can even tighten the oil pan a little bit harder because it won't bulge out. So that's the favorite oil pan gasket to use. All of this you can find on the Burton Racing website, which is burton-racing.com. I'll have the link in the description like always, as well as the discount code SBTuning, so you can save a couple bucks in checkout. And yeah, you'll get all this good stuff. For the next package, I love this one because we've been wanting to do something like this for a while. And I gotta tell you, to begin with, I wasn't so sure about this type of hardware before. Just by saying hardware, you should already know what I'm talking about. Just because I've seen it on a lot of show cars, not that many race cars. There are a few that I've seen it on personally. And that company right now is Downstar. So Downstar makes a whole bunch of different hardware, and come to find out, as soon as I open this, they actually have a really nice merch line too. So we have 3 different design shirts right here. Huge shout out to Frank for that, much appreciated. And socks. Yes, I love high socks. Thank you, Frank. We're gonna put these to great use during this winter to come. Now, like I was saying, the hardware, I wasn't so sure about it personally. I just hadn't done the research myself. Come to find out, they're actually 12.9 grade steel. So this is awesome. They have the zinc coating in blue. Now they release the gold zinc coating as well. They're starting to release some beauty washers in titanium, as well as a whole bunch of different engine components. And this is probably my favorite thing out of the kit. Right here we have the strut mount, like where the actual coilover bolts onto the car, as well as the upper control arm mount. This is one of their kits that they offer. So this is gonna be the beauty washer, as well as the 12.9 grade nuts for it. This is gonna look crazy nice on our engine bay. And he actually hooked us up. We got a whole bunch of stuff. This right here is gonna be the Ultra Race with the plenum. This is a 2-liter spacer kit. You can run different sizes depending on which ones you have, but this one is the one specifically for the one that I have for the manifold, the Ultra Race. There we go, we got that one. Third, right here, we have the complete transmission hardware kit. Now this is gonna work for every bolt that you have on there, to the transmission, to the case, as well as the starter. Right over here, you have the starter bolts, one small, one long. These are for all the bolts that go from the outer case to the inner case. And obviously right here, we have the bell housing bolts that go from the transmission itself to the engine. I was debating either the black or the gold, and I gotta tell you, the gold hardware just looks super nice. But what I like about the black, we have a lot of subtle matte black on the car. For example, the finish on the undercoating on the sides, let me show you real quick. That's all nice black. I'm gonna give it another coat because you can see a little bit of the red peeling through it, or shining through it. But we're gonna make it really, really nice and black. Don't look at the suspension, we're changing all that. But throughout the whole engine bay, those who have kept up with the channel and the build, you know that we have a ton of red and black, and it's just gonna look so perfect. Super subtle, but a nice crisp finish to it. That's why we went with that color. And last but not least, for the Bolt Boys special, we have the complete mount hardware kit. We have everything here from the actual bolts that go through the mounts to the bolts that attach the mount to the hardware or to the engine itself, transmission, or post mount in some cases for the driver's side. Everything's over here in the kit that you need. And if I'm not mistaken, these are the reservoir covers. I don't have any reservoirs yet because we haven't ordered a master cylinder or clutch master cylinder either, just because we haven't decided if we're gonna do the no booster or with booster. It's still up in the air. Since we are unboxing all of this and we're gonna get to installing, I'm actually gonna throw on one of these shirts. I like this one right here. It's the Downtime with Downstar. If you guys aren't familiar with that podcast, he's on YouTube. I'll go ahead and link that down below. A couple weeks ago, we were on the podcast and we went all over our history and what really got us into the cars. So make sure to go check that out. I'm gonna link it down below. And I wanna say this is like a Back to the Future theme. And then this one is just like a nice going out shirt. Man, I really gotta clean this engine bay up. It is super dusty. And like I mentioned, I think in like 2-3 videos ago, I'm gonna touch up right here on the intercooler piping where I actually welded on the blow-off valve flange. Doesn't look nice. We're gonna make that nice. So don't even worry about it right now. That's soon to come. But yeah, here's the engine bay before. Give you a little rough run around. And the reason that I haven't bolted this bell housing bolt in all the way, I had taken it off before because I was measuring some stuff with clearance with other components that I'm putting in that area. And as for the back bell housing bolt right there, I actually have to tap and put a time cert or something into the actual engine. So I'm gonna see if I can end up doing it without taking the trans down, but eventually in the future I might just have to do that. In the time being, it's all right. But we're still gonna be able to put that hardware for the nice stuff in the front at least, and you're gonna be able to see the difference. Let me give you a brief quick breakdown of where exactly all this stuff is going. Like I mentioned, transmission to engine, from this to right here, all of this hardware right there is gonna be covered with Downstar. Then we have all the bolts over here. It's gonna be all Downstarred up. Engine mounts, Starting on the transmission side, you're not even gonna really see this, but if you get at angles, you're gonna be able to see the nice transition on the side, and it's just gonna be really nice. Main components that you're gonna be seeing a lot of is gonna be the stuff over here. If you look from the back, you'll see a little bit of the rear mount stuff once we put those on. And my favorite, like I mentioned earlier, is gonna be this upper control arm, bolts right there, excuse me, the nuts with the beauty washers, and the ones over here as well. Like I mentioned, all this stuff is getting changed out, but we're gonna mock it up in the meanwhile, just to see how it looks. And that's gonna be the main eye catcher. Over here on the manifold side, if you look at all these little Allen bolts that come from the factory with the skunk manifolds, these are all uncoated, regular hex head, Allen bolts, whatever you want to call them. And they're okay, they get the job done, but they rust out so much on these. Like, I'm not even exaggerating, look at this. Skunk 2 actually sells the kit that they can like replace all the bolts, but it's the exact same style. Not to throw shade at Skunk 2 at all, like their manifolds are amazing. But I personally don't like that hardware. And I was looking into some different styles, if I wanted to do like titanium or different color beauty washers, but I just decided to go with the black one because we are gonna eventually coat the manifold. I'm not sure what color yet, but we're gonna do something nice to transition off of this. And it's just gonna look really, really nice. It's gonna look super crisp on there. Happy to have gone with the black stuff. And obviously that's all coated. It's not gonna rust out or anything. But yeah, super nice right now how it is, but gonna be 10 times better. Shout out to my tripod, by the way. I'm using this small handheld tripod sitting on top of this stool, sitting on top of the chair right there, just so I could get a good angle. So I apologize if it's not as nice as I normally try to set up my tripod, but the day before the event, I was prepping everything, and I was taking my big tripod to the no prep event at Orlando Speed World, and one of the legs broke while I was putting it into my backpack. So I have to go buy another one, and in the meanwhile, I wanted to get this stuff unboxed and show to you guys. So this is my ghetto tripod setup. Don't mock me. I just posted this on Instagram that this is what I'm using. You gotta do what you gotta do, man. It's either wait until I buy another tripod, order online, or go to the store, whatever it is, or use what I got in the meanwhile. And I really wanted to get this stuff on and show you guys, so there we go. We have everything laid up here on the intercooler. Obviously, I'm not gonna pull the bolts one by one to install from here, because as soon as I pull one, here's for example. Oh wow, I didn't do it this time. I just did that a second ago and all of them shifted. But yeah, I just wanted to take a couple nice pictures so I could post onto Instagram in a couple minutes. But yeah, that's everything laid out. We have the coilover bolts and the top where the camera kit goes. We have the, man, I should have, yeah, I can like take each set apart and like process of elimination, not get confused with which one is which one. But if you look at the like install sheet, it tells you from the top to the bottom exactly which one is which. So this one, motor mount bolts, 3 to chassis on the subframe side. Then right here, trans to mount, mount to subframe, mount to post. And it goes in order so you know exactly which one is which. Like if you're not too familiar with cars, but like, let's say that I'm just doing it right now. Coilover, upward control arm, transmission, starter, outside case of transmission, bell housing bolts, the plenum, then the plenum spacer for the manifold, obviously. Then the rest of the transmission bolts. This one is for the mounts, the center bolts. There's one that's longer. I believe the longer one goes, I have to check the sheet. But yeah, those are the 3 for the bolts, for the mounts. Then we have the post mount to the motor, and then the post mount to the mount. And then the last one right there, I forgot what I'm missing, but I'll do it as soon as I get everything. Oh, I think that's for the actual mount to the subframe. So yeah, we're pretty much set right there. I'm gonna take everything off right there and start bolting it one by one. Like I mentioned, there are torque specifications. I'm going to add them down below. And it does recommend on the bottom right here a few stuff. Due to vehicles coming in different models, actual bolt may vary. So make sure you order the correct kit for your specific car. Second, always use anti-seize lubricant when installing new hardware. I'm sorry, Frank, I don't think I'm putting anti-seize. So if something happens, that's on me. But I'm not putting anti-seize on it. Not in any way saying that you shouldn't, but I don't have any anti-seize and I'm not running out to the store right now. I don't know, if you're at home and you're gonna order this, buy some anti-seize, but I'm gonna skip it, even though I shouldn't. And then the number groups indicate the contents of the bag, obviously. And like I said earlier, it has the sales at downstarinc.com for the email, if you have to email them with any questions. And yeah, let's get started. All right, let's go ahead and get started on the passenger side. If you hear a little bit of background noise, I do apologize. It started raining pretty badly. So, okay, so the clamps are actually already loose. Let's go ahead and remove this stuff. I'm just gonna take the piping out so it's a little bit more accessible. I really shouldn't be doing this with the bolts still on. That's exactly what happened. The bolts are all still on the intercooler, so just knock some of them over. Like I said, I do apologize for the noise starting to pour out there. Let's start off with up here, the shock tower bolts. Probably my favorite part of it. I'm gonna do one at a time so the coilover actually still stays standing up. Just one bolt. Let's get this right here. Beauty washer goes on, bolt over top. And it centers it into place. Goes perfectly. Upper control arm, beauty washer on. Perfect on there. Centers into place also. And I think that one's a 17 millimeter. Yeah, it's a 17 millimeter right there. You just snug it down. I'm not going to fully tighten it. This is all coming off anyway. For the time being, it's going to be on here. And I can't wait once I get like coilovers and an upper control arm kit, because it's actually going to be fresh studs coming out from there instead of having all that stuff. So that's good right there. Let me loosen this back one real quick. And the big difference, like, I'm not going to pull a camera in close to show right now just because it's already on the fake tripod that I have. But this hardware, like the OEM stuff, especially on painted engine bays, it spins against the paint. So where I've bolted this on is now like an indentation into the paint, and I really don't like that because it doesn't look clean. So with this, the beauty washer will actually stay stationary while the nut itself will spin on it. So if I had done this from the beginning, I wouldn't have the indentations in the paint that I do now, and it'd be 10 times cleaner. I really regret not getting it until now, but it is what it is, and it's still gonna look super good. Luckily, the beauty washer is bigger than the actual OEM nut, so it covers up any previous indentation. That's all right there. Now, a lot of people, when they work on engine bays, especially on shaved and painted engine bays, they'll end up actually like masking off a whole bunch of stuff with tape. I really should do that, but I try to be somewhat careful when removing things to avoid the need for it. So it always comes in handy if you're gonna work on the engine bay. Like if one day I'm at home pulling the transmission and I have time, I'll mask up all this so everything's nice and clean once I pull it down. But if you're like feel like you're clumsy or you drop things easily and whatnot, go ahead and get some masking tape and mask up the whole area, you know. For the dusty paint, I really got to clean this off, but look at that. There's just one portion of it. There's the first part of the engine bay. Next, I'm going to start doing the mount side right here on the transmission. And instead of doing all of them at once, like if I was going to install this onto the car, sorry, it's kind of blurry. Let me focus. Instead of doing all of it at once, I'll do one bolt at a time. That way the trans doesn't move or anything. Okay, I actually have one aftermarket bolt right here, which is an 18 instead of a 17 if I'm not mistaken. So that's gonna have to come off. Let me just get my extension real quick. I don't really need an extension for taking these bolts off, but I wanna keep the ratchet far away from the engine bay paint. Like I was mentioning, I wanna keep it nice and clean. Oh, I guess I actually had loosened this one already because I was trying to clean it. And I love hex head bolts, I'm not gonna lie. Like this style OEM bolt, I love them because they're super easy to work with and they have a nice flange on them. I got these to near mirror finish like 2 months ago by using the wire wheel and then the polishing, wheel. And it got super nice, but obviously the rust sets in. So we're gonna replace all this old stuff with the nice beauty hardware. And I'm gonna go ahead and find my beauty hardware. Okay, so transmission side I have right in front of me. First bolt right here. And for this stuff, yes, we're gonna start using the hex keys. Really simple to use. Like I mentioned, I have a small set already. And I believe for this one, let's see what size this is. Okay, if I'm not mistaken, this should be a size 10 on the hex key. Okay, I'll drive it in by hand first. Like I mentioned, use a torque wrench on this, and you should really listen to Downstar and get that anti-seize. But we're just gonna send it. What I'm gonna do right now, I'm gonna hand tighten everything. Then once we have all the bolts in place, I'll go over it and do the final tightening on it. Okay, it's actually not an 18 what I had. I guess I had a 19 millimeter. Yeah, I'm just getting everything into place for the time being. Okay, there's that. Another thing, if you don't have OEM hardware, like if you see on some of the bolts that I have in my engine bay especially, I don't have OEM hardware for, let's say, the VTEC solenoid right here, or the coolant neck. There's a few aftermarket bolts that I have here, and for certain things I do like using those bolts that you can buy at Ace that aren't beauty washers or anything. They're really nice in my opinion. I love a combination of both. But the problem with that, especially when you're doing it with big stuff like this, it's hard to find the OEM size, and you can't really find them online. And doing it yourself, like, it's hard to find the exact bolt size at the store or anything. This takes all the guesswork out of it. Just pick up the kit from Downstar and you're good. All right, so that's the two front ones. For the next one, it's actually right off the back. And this one will be probably the least viewed, but the nicest washer, because actually I have to get a deep socket. But it's actually going from an OEM long bolt or nut to the beauty washer right there. So it's gonna liven it up a lot. You can put it on right here as one piece right there, or you can put it two piece. The collar first, and then go ahead and put the nut on, and it'll self-center inside of it. Okay. There. Get it nice and snug. And for the transmission mount to the actual transmission, that's it. All I have to do is the front bolt now. It goes right in the center right there. We have 3 long bolts that will go to the actual mount to the chassis, and one of them is longer than the other. The longer one will go onto the actual driver's side mount. The other 2 will go to the trans mount and to the rear subframe mount, because the driver's side mount is a lot thicker than the other 2 mounts. Just a quick little tip trick. Look, you can see this is the short one. It still reaches perfectly through. Short one on this side is too short. Short one on this side. Perfect. So the beauty collars are slightly larger than the flange that comes on the OEM bolts as well as the OEM nuts. I'm not putting the beauty washer onto this one right here that goes into the mount, just because I have the FCS reinforcement plate kit, which basically comes with plates for the front and the back of the driver's and passenger side to stiffen up the chassis a little bit. So that kit also comes with basically like a sleeve to weld on to connect the chassis to the reinforcement plate on the mounting point. So it's a little bit smaller hole than OEM. So if you have OEM placement, then you can definitely use the beauty washers. If you have the FCS kit, upon actually installing, you can position it so that the beauty washers will still fit. For example, this one still fits in the hole, but the angle that I welded it on allowed it to be perfect fitment with the OEM bolt, not with the beauty washer. So you just keep that in mind. I'm gonna install it without the washer, but still use the hardware, because not only is it nice and strong, but this is the old one. Also tried to polish it off, take all the rust off, but rust is starting to come back, and that's not what we want on our car, especially a race car, because you're gonna have a lot of vibration, a lot of power being put down. So we need the best bolts in this. We're gonna go ahead and install that even without the beauty collar. is in place right there. Perfect. I'm gonna go ahead and remove the starter. That way I can do two things. I can then put it back on with the starter bolts that are included in the kit, and I'll also be able to access the bolts around the transmission. Now ideally, when you're doing the outer case to the inner case, the best case scenario would be to do it while the trans is down, and if you're resealing the case, that'd be awesome. If not, if you're gonna be doing it like this, what you want to do is remove one bolt at a time and then place a new bolt in its place, tighten it all the way down, and then remove the next bolt, tighten it all the way down, just so you don't take off all the pressure at once and get that RTV to lose its elasticity or whatever. So that being said, I'm going to take the starter off and start on that. All right, so we have all the Ultra Race manifold hardware onto there. You see, it's made for the plenum specifically, like I meant. The plenum spacer, sorry, like I mentioned earlier. Obviously, the plenum spacer one uses a lot longer bolts than a regular one because it has all this material to go through as well. And it is looking pretty good right there. Now, I would recommend on this specifically using Loctite just because it's such a important component that you don't want any leakage in the future. So right now it has the little gaskets, the paper gaskets that come with it. I think I'll end up using Honda Bond. Still up in the air because I know some people do, some people don't. But for the future, I'll do a little bit more research on that. For when I do the final assembly, I'll be using blue Loctite just to make sure they don't back out. The reason I'm not doing it right now is one, because I said that I'll be checking if I want to do the sealant or keep the paper gaskets. And two, I really want to get this powder coated. I'm not exactly 100% sure what color I want to do yet, or even if I want to do like a gloss finish, a matte finish, or whatever, but I definitely want to do something to get this a little bit nicer. So that's all the hardware that came out of it. It's, you know, non-coated, it's all the rusty material and whatnot, so happy to get that out. And this is all the old hardware that we took off the car. There are a few bolts left actually. This one right here being a bell housing bolt that I have to put on right now under the car. And this one right here for through the rear mount. And I have 3 more bolts right here. This is for the rear mount to the subframe. I'm not 100% sure if I'm gonna put these on right now. I might toss them on real quick since the manifold's already off. The one reason that I wasn't too inclined to put that on right now, the rear mount, especially on these cars, given that it's already like a close firewall to it, I'll have to get like a very close or very short actual socket for it. Let me show you for reference. Let me see. Anyways, I can't find the socket that is the exact size, but you see how these sockets are super long. I'm gonna need one like maybe the half size of this, so I can actually fit it with the swivel to not hit the firewall when I bolt it on. And once I actually got the correct socket, I'll be able to put that on. But for the time being, it's okay. We put most of the main stuff on. Look at this. My favorite part so far is the trans kit. Like, I thought my favorite part was gonna be the upper control arms and coilovers, which looks phenomenal, but that trans kit just looks so good. Especially where the starter goes. Even like off of the wrinkle black, the starter still looks amazing. Oh man, that really does liven up the whole car. Mount kit right here on the post mount as well as on the mount itself. On this one, we were able to fit the beauty washer on it. Quick mention to this, when I welded this, I didn't have the bolt tightened all the way. So a couple months ago when I was tightening this bolt on, it cracked the weld right there, but it's still slightly welded up top. Should be okay. Once we end up painting the car, I'll grind this down and re-weld it, make it nice and strong. But we have the mid plate on it. I'm gonna add another reinforcement bracket in the future to the front of the motor. So the motor's not going anywhere. I'm not worried about that, to be honest. But yeah, we're looking pretty good. I think it'll be good to throw the manifold on real quick, and the charge piping as well for this side. It should be pretty good to put that on. So today actually took a lot longer than I thought it was gonna take. I ended up having to do some errands throughout the day, and then I cooked in the afternoon. So I was able to get all the Downstar stuff onto the car, but I wasn't able to do the Burton Felpro gaskets that I put on, or that I ordered. We have all that stuff ready to go. Tomorrow in the morning, I'm probably gonna put that, as well as I really wanna make a bracket for my boost bike gear solenoid that I got from Burton Racing as well. Don't forget, these are on sale as well as everything else on the Burton website. Use discount code SBTuning to save some bucks on there. As for, like I said, time, I didn't have time to get to that today. I'm gonna try to wake up tomorrow early and get all that stuff knocked out before the rest of the stuff I need to do for the day. As for the timing belt that I actually ordered from Burton Racing, I'm not gonna be able to put that on for the next couple weeks, unfortunately. To put that on, I'm actually missing a trigger wheel, which is a replacement for the cam gear. I have Pro 1 cams that I'm gonna be putting in the car, same ones that we had before, and they're still in fairly good condition. But before I put that on, I wanted to get the trigger wheel setup, the T1 trigger, if you guys are familiar with that, like the Honda racing scene. Basically, instead of running a distributor, since we're running a standalone ECU, Fuel Tech specifically is what we're gonna be ordering. The trigger wheel will have a little sensor and a bracket right off of the cam gear, and it has little magnets built into the cam gear, the specific one that we're getting, and it picks up the signal from how many times the engine rotates. It provides the proper spark from that signal. It translates it in the ECU and does all that mumbo jumbo that I really don't know, but it makes it work. So I haven't ordered that yet. We're gonna be ordering it probably in the next couple weeks. So yeah, I'm waiting to put on the timing belt until that moment. As for the gaskets and whatnot, that's good to go tomorrow. Not the valve cover gaskets, since like I mentioned, we have to change the cam gear. That's in the future. Yeah, so if you guys have any questions, let me know down in the comment section below. I'll be quicker to respond on Instagram if I don't get to the comments as fast. It's @SlowIntegra if you guys want to check out the build and special stuff on there that I don't always post on YouTube. Make sure to check it out @SlowIntegra. I know not a lot of people make it to the end of the video, but I want to know specifically for you guys who are still here, what do you think for the manifold, valve cover, and turbo combination? The front face is going to look right out the car, since it is the headlight mount. It sticks right out the headlight, the high beam specifically on the driver's side. The manifold and the valve cover I want to match also. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. I have kind of like a color scheme in my head, but I'm not 100% convinced on it, so I want to get some feedback on it. Huge shout out to Frank Downstar for helping us out with the build on all the bolts. And I gotta tell you, when I originally told him that I wanted these specific kits, like the trans kit, the mount kit, the ultra race manifold kit with the plenum obviously, and the strut tower and coilover kit, I asked for gold. I was like, yo, let's put an order for gold hardware. That's what I wanted. And gold on red looks awesome, 100%. But there's so much subtle black in this car that I was like, the gold one might be a little bit too overwhelming. And I gotta tell you, the black came out perfect. It's just subtle enough to not like drown you in overwhelmingness or whatever, but it's still enough for you to actually like see it and appreciate it. So huge shout out to Frank. Thank you so much, bro. I'm loving the shirt, by the way. This thing is super comfortable, and I still have 2 more to open later. So yeah, let me keep on trying to wrap up this video. Thank you so much for watching, guys. If you haven't already hit the like button, make sure to please, please, please smack that like button. It really helps out the channel. And if it's your first time watching the video, hit the subscribe and notification bell, and we'll see you on the next video. Peace.